Good morning. I have been doing some year-end review from 2020 and then intentional planning for 2021. So having gathered information from various teachers, mentors, I put together some ideas on how I wanted to review that information and thought I would share it with you. So I will do today my 2020 review, and then tomorrow I will talk about how I started setting my intentions for 2021. So my prior year review, the very first thing I did was I went through my calendar. And even though we were in a pandemic and lockdown, I still actually had some pretty notable events each month. So I just went through my Google Calendar, my work calendar, and then if you remember, I was using my Panda planner some last year as well. So I went through each of those calendars and I just went January, February, March and wrote down notable events. So what made it notable? Time I had spent with my friends, things that were kid related, things that I enjoyed, just anything that I felt was taking a chunk of my time and an investment in that way are things that I wrote down here, okay? So after going through all of those calendars and putting them in order by month, I went through and thought about what of these things do I want more of? So which of these things aligned with my values, with my word of the year, and I felt like good investments of my life, right? Because how we're using our time is how you are creating your life. So I went through and pulled off the things that I wanted more of, and then the things that I wanted less of. If there were things that I thought were distracting or a drain or just didn't align with my values and what was actually important to me, I wanted to make sure as I set my intentions for 2021 that I was making sure that I was just being aware I'm not adding those things to my calendar. And then opportunity areas, just overviewing how I was spending that time and where were my areas of opportunity that I could have emphasized. So if being outdoors is something that's really important to me, could I have taken more hikes? Which is similar to what do you want more of in your life, but overviewing it also helped me think a little bit more creatively about how else I could take that feeling that I generated doing that thing and then come up with something else that would fit the bill. So the other thing that we did was reviewed our family photographs. All 5 of us sat in a circle together and went through our phones and showed everybody else the pictures they had on their phones. So this was a pretty fun activity for most of us. I think it was a little slower paced than some preferred in our family, but we went through and just realized that we had actually created a lot of great memories in 2020. So that was a really nice exercise that we did. So we thought about how did we feel, like looking at those pictures, how are we feeling when that picture was taken? Because obviously in Facebook, Insta, all of that, you are putting up photographs and it's just capturing like such a quick minute in time. And you know the real backstory about what happened before you took that picture or right after. So how did we feel as we were looking through the pictures? And again, was it in alignment with our values and what was important to us? So what do you want to remember? I think it can be really hard to remember the little details of our life. There were certainly some firsts in our family. In 2020, we have a kid that started a job, some other firsts that occurred, and it was just exciting. So it was just nice to reflect on those things and soak it up a little bit. Okay, lessons learned. So when I went through the whole calendar and just thinking about some of those things I wanted less of, I wanted to unpack why. and what were the lessons that I learned. So for me, some of the things that I wanted to add, back up to that first part, some of the things that I wanted to add is just more volunteering, adding more conversations with caregivers. I recorded 16 episodes in 2020, and I'm really excited to be providing more of those. I wanted to schedule massages and hair appointments. So I've already scheduled those out for like the first 6 months of the year. Dates with my husband, like as I was going through and calendaring, we certainly peeled off here and there, but just having like a set specific date and time when we were getting together was really important to me. And it could be something as simple as drive-through coffee and watching a sunrise. So it can be, it doesn't have to be like an overly expensive thing to do. So those were just a few of my yeses that I wanted to have more of. Nos, things I wanted less of. We're doing other people's programs. I love learning. I'm totally addicted to it. So I am such a advocate for jumping in and trying something, but I also need to be focused on my work and the people that I'm serving. So I just want to make sure that I'm not jumping at every single opportunity that's coming my way, because part of the value of those programs is actually doing the work within them and then applying it. So that could be kind of distracting. Something else I want less of are just spending time with people that just don't feel right in my life. Like there's something about the energy when I connect with them that just doesn't set well with me or feel right. And I just want to be really aware of that and not continue to like invest over and over time in people that I'm just not jiving with. Okay, so my lessons that I learned, I have those rewritten in a different book. Lean into my instincts. I think that we all have this intuition that we tend to hush. And I think it's important to listen to that and lean into your instincts. So if you have an idea and it's something that excites you, explore it a little bit. Don't just squelch it. Invest in myself, which I do pretty well with because I'm a lifelong learner. And I think investing in yourself is really important. So that was a lesson that I learned, that I think I do a pretty good job of investing in myself. This is a big one, and I know, especially for people that are helping other family members and caregivers that are caregivers, don't do things that I just don't want to do. So if something is coming up on our calendar and I'm not really looking forward to it, or my husband's not really looking forward to it, it's okay if we pass on that opportunity. Now, obviously, helping family members get to doctor's appointments, stuff like that, you know, it's important to show up, but just being mindful of what you're scheduling for yourself and making sure that it's not a calendar full of stuff that you're just dreading. Okay, this was a really big one for me because words of affirmation are my love language, and I now am to the point where I find it kind of annoying that that's the case, but I really learned in 2020 that attention is not connection. So just because someone is paying attention to me, because they are excited about the work that I'm doing, that doesn't necessarily mean that I have a connection with them that is deep or lasting. So that was a hard lesson for me because I get excited about things and I appreciate feeling validated, but that's my own ego work that I'm working on. But attention is not connection, and it's really important for me to have legitimate connections with people. So that was my 2020 wrap-up. Calendar, pictures, my lessons, and then tomorrow I'll talk a little bit more about just setting my intentions for 2021 and what that looks like. So I hope you're having a great day. I know it can be overwhelming with New Year's resolutions and all of that. Be kind to yourself. Know that you're literally in this for a lifetime. So you don't have to do all the things right at once. Like, you can start to incrementally and very small introduce things into your life that will impact you big in the long run. So think about 2020. I know it was kind of a blur, but I bet there's some good stuff in there. So I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.